By now, I'm sure you've enjoyed some beautiful slow-cooked dishes, and I've got another one for you today that makes the most of a traditional food pairing, pork and apples. We're going to bake some apples filled with slow-cooked pork. Now, this is about 400 grams of pork belly, which is enough to do about 6 large apples. Take the skin off and rub it with some sea salt. Put that aside and then rub about a teaspoon of paprika onto the pork. Pop that into a baking dish with a couple of strips of orange zest, some bay leaves, a cinnamon stick and a little touch of salt. Now we don't want our meat to dry out, so I'm cooking it in some lovely Hills pear cider, and just to cut through the sweetness, a splash or two of apple cider vinegar. Then we just cover that with alfoil and into an oven 160 degrees for about 2 hours. If you can, do that step the day before, because the next part will only take you about half an hour. Now, here's my tip for coring an apple for any baked recipe. With a sharp paring knife, cut a deep incision into the bottom of an apple, making sure you go through the core. That way, when we core out our apple, we don't go right through to the bottom, and therefore that becomes our base and we don't lose our filling. Then we just make that hole a little bit bigger to make extra room for our stuffing. Pop all the scrapings into a baking tin because that's going to help us make a beautiful sauce. You can see I'm using Golden Delicious for this recipe. I prefer them to Granny Smith's because they're not as tart. When the pork is cool enough to handle, pull it apart with your fingers and add it to a mixture of chopped onion, pistachio, parsley, orange zest and a squeeze of orange juice. And don't forget to taste it for salt and pepper. Mix that all up and then stuff as much as you can into each apple so that it's nice and firm. Then put them into your baking pan, to which I've added an onion for extra flavour and some more of that delicious pear cider. All they need now is a dob of butter and into an oven at 180 degrees for about 20 minutes. And if you want to make the most of great winter produce, don't miss the magazine this month, especially if you love pumpkin. There's a host of fantastic recipes for you to try. And here is our finished result. Beautiful golden apples with pork. And remember that crackling? That goes into a food processor now with some orange zest, a handful of parsley and some pistachio nuts. That's going to give us a garnish with a lot of crunch. That goes onto the plate all around our apples. And we finish it off with our stewed apple sauce. You'll find this recipe on our website, so make sure you go there to download it.